Y'all, I'm going to need you to forgive me in advance because I'm going to get a little heated this video. All right. I'm letting everybody know right now. I know usually I'm demonstrative and that's just kind of what I do, but this is a little bit different. Because there are people out there who will defend this. And that's what bothers me. There are people out there who will try and rationalize what I'm about to talk to you about. The disgusting behavior that we are witnessing right in front of us from pundits, from our own president, and other elected officials. There are people who will pretend to be the victim while refusing to condemn hate and bigotry from those who are claiming to attack others in the name of the very ideology, the very people that are supposedly not hateful. Donald Trump has some very choice words for Ilhan Omar. For those of you who don't know, Ilhan Omar she's one of the 2 or 3 first Muslim Congress people. I know she's definitely the first Somali congresswoman. She's the first hijabi Muslim congresswoman. I think Keith Ellison was the very first member of Congress that was a Muslim. But Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are the first 2 Muslim Congress people. So we got that out the way. Ilhan Omar critiqued AIPAC. I don't know if you know what AIPAC is, but AIPAC is basically a lobbying group that lobbies on behalf of Israel and basically pays off our politicians to do whatever the hell Israel wants. And that's the nice way of putting it, to be quite honest with you. What I'm about to show you all throughout this video is, if it doesn't infuriate you, then you really need to look yourself in the mirror and ask, why not? Because it's that bad. It really is. So first, I would like to show you this clip of Donald Trump acting foolish as usual.
A special thanks to Representative Omar of Minnesota. Oh, I forgot. She doesn't like Israel. I forgot. I'm so sorry.
You know what's interesting about this clip? You know what's interesting about this? I don't know if you all know, but Ilhan Omar has been receiving a lot of death threats as of late because of people like Donald Trump and his party, but not only because of them, but because of the Democrats as well, who refuse to challenge Donald Trump and the Republicans substantively on their disingenuous rhetoric and their victimhood, their self-victimhood in regards to Ilhan Omar's very real and well-known comments about AIPAC. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody. If you're pretending like you don't know what AIPAC does and you actively pay attention to politics, then you're lying on purpose to pursue your own agenda. Period. Otherwise, at the very least, it's cognitive dissonance. So, the other day, a man was actually charged with threatening death to Ilhan Omar, was arrested and charged. I want you all to do me a favor. Go look through Donald Trump's tweets. Go look through her tweets. Or his tweets, excuse me. See if you see anything saying, I condemn this behavior. I condemn this behavior. I condemn this man. No, probably not. You won't see that. What makes that fact even worse is, guess why this man said he wanted to assassinate Ilhan Omar? Interestingly, it wasn't even because of her quote unquote anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic comments that weren't anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish in any sense. It was actually quite the opposite. And it was because she's Muslim. It was because she's Muslim. He said specifically, I don't want Muslim extremists in Congress. That's why he tried to kill her. Why? Because everything that we've been talking about on this show is true. The attacks against Ilhan Omar, the disingenuous attacks and disingenuous misrepresentation of everything she had said about AIPAC were dog whistles. They were racist, bigoted dog whistles. And this was the result. But Donald Trump, who pretends to care so much about Israelis and the Jewish people, pretends like he's so altruistic and magnanimous. That's why he has to speak up and defend the Jewish people. He couldn't even condemn the man who tried to assassinate a sitting congresswoman just because she is Muslim. And what frustrates me even more, what pisses me off even more is that the people who claim to be allies have basically said nothing about this. And the Democrats who pretend to be allies, who literally attack Donald Trump at every single turn, every chance they get, even things that are made up, that they make up personally. They couldn't attack him over this. You're the president of the United States. Someone literally said, use your name, invoked your name and your influence over them and said, because of that man I love, the president, this is the guy who attempted or threatened and said he was going to kill her. Because I'm a patriot and I love my president and I hate Muslim women or Muslims in general sitting in Congress, I want to kill her. And nobody had anything to say about it. Trump says that basically Ilhan Omar doesn't like, she suggests through her rhetoric that she doesn't like Jewish people or Israeli people. That's what Trump says. I don't know where he gets that from, because let's be very clear about something. Yeah, Ilhan Omar critiques AIPAC, but also Ilhan Omar critiques Saudi Arabia. And also, hell, Ilhan Omar critiques the US, and she critiques the coup in Venezuela and anyone who supports it. She also critiques all big money interests in politics. Ilhan Omar has been consistent across the board, no matter what race, religion, ethnicity, whatever. She's been consistent across the board when it comes to money's influence over politics and Western imperialism. Consistent across the board. More than almost any other freshman, no, not almost, more than any other freshman Congress person except for Rashida Tlaib. Her and Rashida Tlaib have both been consistent across the board. But Trump suggests that he has to speak up and defend himself and pump up his chest as if he needs to defend the Jewish people or the Israeli people. But you have a man who outwardly and openly says he wants to assassinate a member of your Congress because she's Muslim, and you don't give a damn. Don't tell me, if you're a Trump supporter, don't tell me that this man isn't a racist. Everyone who's been part of the channel knows I am far and away from suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. But I'll be damned if we ignore something so obvious in our face. And if you want to choose to ignore it, then you are part of the problem, period. This isn't one of those, oh, but the Democrats situation. Oh, no. Because they're just as bad. But he's the president. And he's playing fucking victim. He's playing victim. Like Ilhan Omar somehow assaulting the entire world, the entire Jewish community, the entire Israeli community, because she called out AIPAC. Then Trump doubled down. He doubled down because, well, Ilhan Omar called Stephen Miller a white supremacist. Now, for those of you who don't know, Stephen Miller is ethnically an Ashkenazi Jew, which means his family grew up in Eastern Europe, migrated here. Yeah, oh yeah, that's where it gets fun. They migrated here. He is a child of migrants. Oh yeah, yes he is. They grew up traditionally speaking Yiddish. Trump goes on to say in a tweet, quoting a video, that Ilhan Omar keeps assaulting Jews. You know what's interesting, people? I don't think, and this is in all seriousness, and you can feel free to comment on this in the comment section. I don't think that anyone knew Steve Miller was Jewish until Trump and Fox News made a big deal about this. Period. Now, mind you, this is in the midst of a harsh crackdown on immigration, in the midst of Steve Miller personally saying that Trump's nominee for ICE, the original nominee to take over, wasn't tough enough. We're seeing families separated. We're seeing kids literally being lost. Kids have been lost. They lost thousands of children. This is supposed to be the organization or the administration that loves and champions human trafficking and solving this epidemic. And it is an epidemic. Make no mistake about it. But 4,000 plus kids went missing and they treated it like it was nothing. Are you kidding me? And that's the ones we know that we are able to account for being that are missing. God forbid, we don't know how many other kids are missing. And they want to put somebody worse in charge? Who doesn't care? Now, before we get into this next video, I just want you all to understand something about Steve Miller and why Ilhan Omar might just be justified in making those comments. A lot of people don't know things about Steve Miller, but I'm going to give you a little clue. First of all, he's one of Trump's senior advisors, but you should look at his past. He went to Duke University, so that's already a negative for me. I know I graduated from UNC, but this guy went to Duke University. Guess what? Who was one of his favorite people at Duke University? I mean, worked with in tandem regularly. Love this guy. It was his road dog. It was a guy by the name of Richard Spencer. For those of you who do not know who Richard Spencer is the guy who coined the term alt-right, or to many people who frequent Facebook and Instagram, the guy who got punched in his face for being a racist douchebag. That guy. This is the guy who basically wants to ethnically cleanse the United States to make sure that only white people exist, or at least he wants to go to a different area where he would cultivate an only white society. That would be a white nationalist / white. Well, he claims he's not a white supremacist, but at the very least, he's a white nationalist, probably a white supremacist though. Now, the reason that Richard Spencer and Steve Miller got along so well at Duke is because, well, they were firmly anti-immigration, period. Not anti-immigration based off of certain circumstances. They were anti-immigration, period. And why was Richard Spencer anti-immigration? Well, we know now, don't we? I'm thinking he's pretty clear. Granted, by the way, Richard Spencer's views has been widely known in the white nationalist community for quite some time. And he's held these views for quite some time. But of course, only once he got elected to, or not elected, but connected to Trump, he said, "Oh no, I don't like Richard Spencer. Me and him we don't got anything. I don't like that guy. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm glad y'all didn't ask me." He literally said, "I'm glad y'all didn't ask that about me during the campaign because I didn't want it to come back and harm Trump." But has it seemed to you all that Steve Miller has changed at all since then? He's literally in Trump's administration to stop people from getting into the country. You're aware of this, right? So what's different? How can you associate with somebody who literally wants a white ethno state? And that is literally his number one. I watched Richard Spencer debate H.A. Goodman, and his whole thing was white people are better, white people this, white people that. We just want our own. We don't have. He victimized himself. What a surprise! A conservative victimizing themselves. Steve Miller, there's the guy who literally is a parent, a child of immigrants, of Jewish immigrants, who were persecuted because of who they were and were allowed to come into this country because of a refugee status, is now telling the entire world, hell no, you can't do that. We were different. But it gets so much worse, people. Stay with me, people. I'm glad. Thank you so much for your patience. Stay with me because it gets so much worse. Check out this video.
Take a look now at this tweet from Congresswoman Omar slamming White House advisor Stephen Miller. Quote, Stephen Miller is a white nationalist. The fact that he still has influence on policy and political appointments is an outrage. Joining us, Republican strategist Jeff Ballabon with B2 Strategic. Jeff, listen, we know that Stephen Miller takes a hard line on immigration. Is that why we're hearing such strong language, and is it acceptable?
What's completely unacceptable is for Ilhan Omar to yet again target Jews. In this case, it's not just Stephen Miller. What she's doing is by declaring a Jew, someone who's known to be Jewish, a white nationalist, is she's saying, oh, Jews, you're not minorities. In other words, this is a way of taking away our right to speak out in their culture, this leftist culture that says only certain kinds of people have agency. The fact is, Jews are not only a minority, Jews are the most victimized minority in this country, far more than blacks, Muslims, and women, which is what Ilhan Omar keeps on being characterized as though she's being attacked. She is the most dangerous anti-Semite we've ever seen. She's more dangerous in this country, more dangerous than David Duke and Louis Farrakhan combined.
Wow. Wow. People in the comment section, just a general number is fine. I want you to write down an estimation of how many times you've seen conservatives complain about race baiting. Okay? Then beside that number, I want you to write down how many times you've seen conservatives complain about the left victimizing themselves unnecessarily. Then beside that, I want you to write down how many times you've seen the right talk about, well, we don't necessarily know if it was racist. Why are you jumping to conclusions? We don't know. There's a bunch of different reasons why I can. And this Ilhan Omar keeps on assaulting Jews. Was she assaulting Saudi Arabia too? Is she assaulting Elliot Abrams too? Is she assaulting every single political lobbyist as well? Where was there one word about Stephen Miller being a Jewish person? Nobody knew Stephen Miller was Jewish until y'all brought it up. And you only brought it up because Ilhan Omar is a Muslim woman, and a Muslim black woman, no less. Let's be very clear about something. Notice in that video, another video featuring conservatives. They're so upset and taken aback by Ilhan's comments. Oh my God. I think I saw a tear go down his eye. He was about to cry. The waterworks were coming. But they cut the segment. He was getting too emotional. But they couldn't muster up the decency, even the cordial decency. Like, you don't even have to mean it, but pretend like you care that someone tried to assassinate a congresswoman because of her ethnicity, because of the tropes you all push and the president pushes. Saying that he did it because he's a patriot and loves the president and because she's Muslim. You're trying to say this bruh. No offense to my Jewish people. And y'all know, because me and Katie Halper and a lot of Jewish people have had this conversation. You know, the left-leaning Jewish people in this country, they hate being victimized, and they absolutely refuse to victimize themselves. They hate it. Because they are strong and very self-determined people. Just like black people don't like being victimized for someone else's personal agenda, only because we know it's political and you actually don't plan on doing anything about the problem. But this man just said, and by the way, he's trying to pretend as if, or maybe he's uneducated, he doesn't know how this stuff works, as if you can't be a black Jewish person. He said Jewish people are more, oh my God, they're more persecuted than black people, than Muslims. They're more persecuted than women. In this country, not around the world. Maybe you could have had some type of argument if you said around the world. It would have still fallen flat on its face, but you would have had some type of argument. But you, in this country, in America, not the country where black people were slaves and black women specifically were being raped, where their husbands couldn't do anything about it, as their women bared children of the men who raped them. Not in this country where Jim Crow just finished, not even 50 or 60 years ago. Not in this country where redlining prevented people from being able to own business, black people specifically from being able to own businesses, houses. Not in this country where a woman can get raped, come out, and the men will use their power and authority to smack down on a woman. Not in this country where black men get shot in broad daylight, where Sandra Bland can be hung in a jail cell with no legitimate investigation. I know this man did not say that. As we are literally talking about a woman who just got threatened because she's a Muslim. As the same guy defending a president who is using his power to crush Ilhan Omar specifically because she's a Muslim. And he knows he can get away with it because there are far too many people in this country who think like him. The black Jewish community is far more oppressed than anything this stupid motherfucker has ever experienced. You don't get to compare your struggle to a refugee and a black refugee from a country that has been ravaged by people who look like you. Because, unfortunately, white people don't care about countries of people who don't look like them. If you walked into Switzerland and try to do what you did to Somalia, what you've done in Sudan, what you've done in Nigeria, what you've done in Libya, what you've done in South Africa, if you walked into Switzerland to do that, if you walked into Germany to do that, All hell would break loose. Want to know how I know? Because white people lost a little power for the first time in South Africa, and white people, not all of y'all, but most of them, lost their shit. It actually made international coverage. All the shit that happens in Africa at the behest and at the fault of America, South Africans losing a little power, white South Africans losing a little power, made international news. So that's how I know if it was happening in South Switzerland, it would be international news. It would, all hell would break. We would be in a world war. People don't go to war over black countries. People don't pass legislation because they care about black people, just because at times in a particular situation, they might need our vote. This man, I don't even like Obama, but this is the man who tried to claim that Obama wasn't even born in this country and suggested that he has dual allegiance to Islam or radical Islamism. But has the nerve, bro, the nerve, the unmitigated call to come at Ilhan Omar, and this dickhead has the nerve to pretend to be victim. What the hell is it up with these conservatives? Playing victim, playing the race card at every single opportunity. And then under the same breath saying, oh my God, why is the left so sensitive? Why are they so soft? Oh my God, they're such snowflakes. The left or the right, excuse me, at least this version of the right, they are the ideology of insecurity and projection. They feel that they must demean others and denigrate others and prevent others from achieving equity of opportunity because they fear they don't have the skills, they don't have the know-how, they don't have the charisma, they don't have the motivation that others may or may not have. And therefore, they don't like and embrace competition. They crush it because they fear it. Misogynists don't want to give women equal opportunity because they fear women. Because women are powerful. They don't want to give equal opportunity to black people. Oh, we've been so victimized. Boy, have you ever heard of Wilmington, North Carolina and the Wilmington Massacre? Have you ever heard of Tulsa, Oklahoma and the Massacre of Black Wall Street? Have you ever heard of the Chicago riots? Have you ever heard of Berkeley, California? The list goes on. Jewish people came to the United States and were able to flourish. They flourish in Hollywood. They flourish in the banking industry. They flourish in small businesses. They have a strong community, and it's something to be revered. It is an amazing thing to see people come from persecution and be able to succeed. But we were dragged here, and our shit was burned to the ground before we could ever be able to succeed. And you got the nerve to talk about persecution? Woo! Y'all, I'm so sick of this. I really am. These people need to go. And no, I don't mean by replacing him with someone on the left, like Nancy Pelosi. Obviously, it wouldn't be Nancy Pelosi, but somebody like her who capitulates to the same half-ass pseudo-leftist ideology as her. Because what do you think is going to happen? They already showed us what will happen. Who defended Ilhan Omar and who did not? Who aligned themselves with AIPAC and who did not? Pete Buttigieg got rid of the first black police chiefs in his city because he was trying to hold cops accountable for recorded racist remarks. And the cops who got recorded are still on the police force. And I'm talking about we need all of these motherfuckers out of office. We can no longer stand for this. If you are black, if you're a woman, if you are a person of color, if you are an ally, it's time to get active. We cannot let these people define what this country is any longer. Thanks for watching that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and JustNForm.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.